Let's get out to Phoenix where we got two young teams trying to find their way. My buddy, wherever he goes, you know the rest. And right now, he's known to be a shooter, but he can take it to the hoop, dunk, and finish with the best of them. And when you have a guy with this speed, Foxy, makes it that much more easy to play on the break.
I mean, Fox is playing great basketball. He's been a leader. And not only is he being a leader, he's been an inspirational leader with his play.
Wow, inspirational leader. I would say Jamal Crawford has been that for a lot of guys in this league.
Time.
A lot of young guys and a lot of guys off the bench. And how about the block right there by Kylie Stein, starting the break, and you got to find my buddy. Oh, you let him get a dribble behind that three-point line.
He's shooting it really well during this stretch right there.
One of the best shooters in the game. And Phoenix giving the Kings a dose of their own medicine. And what is that medicine? Speed. Look right there as Melton lays it in, getting the putback. And speaking of putbacks, Kelly Oubre tonight ties a career high of 26 points. None better than those two right there.
Block out. Block out.
Box outs are illegal. Bam. Put a body on it.
He finishes strong inside. How about this, though? The Suns were down 21. They came back and won. They did it as a team effort. 7 players scored in double figures. One of my favorite segments, At the Buzzer. And let's start off with the Wiggins tweet. Said, "You've been with me since my first season. You deserve this moment. Congratulations, Coach." Of course, he's talking about Coach Ryan Saunders, who had his first win. And how about this, Karl Anthony Towns? This one was for Flip. He's the son of Flip Saunders, and we know Flip is smiling down, very proud of his son. Even assistant coaches in there getting hyped.
And he's throwing water on him. I like it.
Yeah, and you know what? Here on Players Only, we caught up with Coach after his first win.
Well, Ryan, Kevin McHale here at the Players Only desk, and I just want to be the first one to say congratulations. I'm really happy for you. That was a hell of a win. And tell me, whatever speech you gave the Wiggins before the game, you need to put that in a capsule and keep that. That guy played great for you tonight.
No, we're just keeping that between me and Wade. He was unbelievable though, and you know, give him a ton of credit for you know, just these 2 days have been you know, a difficult 2 days, but he's been great, just staying into everything.
You know, Ryan, Chris Webber here, and I know that right now your father is so proud of you. I know that this is something that wasn't just given to you, but that you've worked and you've earned it. And you talked so much already about kind of the nerves, and now that the nerves are over from that first game, tell me a little bit how you felt at a couple moments when Cat got his 4th foul, when your point guard T gets ejected. Did you know you were going to have such a night? To Coach, and truthfully, how does it just feel after getting your first win with the team?
Yeah. No, you know, I was just saying I could have never envisioned a first game, you know, first time being a head coach in the NBA in a game like this, and especially down in Oklahoma City. They have great fans down here, and obviously there were some things that, you know, we wish went the other way for us, but that's the game. And now that it's over, and now that we put one in the left column, I'll be able to tell a great story for a long time.
You've been preparing for this moment a long time, and I just want to know, what was the first play you called, and was it 4-5-2 twist?
All right, yeah. So technically, and Matt can tell you that was 5-52 twist.
Because there we go.
Because and Chris, I'm pretty sure he's ran that for you.
No, I said I called before the game. I said you're going to run 252 twists. And now he called the play outside.
Hey, yeah, you know what? That was one of those things. I only told my mother actually before the game. You know, hey, I had an idea that it might, you know, we might be able to get something off of it, but you know, I didn't know if it was necessarily gonna work out. But I said I had to, just in an ode to him, I'd feel good about myself if I ran his favorite play, first play of the game.
Awesome.
I called it right away, Rhino, when you ran the play. I said, "Oh, there goes Flipper."
Yep.
Hey, I want to ask you a question. Now, I know you haven't slept the last 2 nights because, you know, there's so many things going on and you're taking over and it's just, you know, all kinds of stuff. How good are you going to sleep tonight when you get in that bed?
I think I'm going to sleep a lot better. I'm going to sleep on that plane. I just got to change out of these wet clothes.
I'm happy for you, man. Congratulations, bud.
And Ryan, what we're looking at right now is a video of your team. You should be able to see it. Your team congratulates you, and hopefully this makes you feel good just because these guys our surroundings. You look at that. Rose didn't even play tonight. Get off that ankle. He's going to hurt his ankle trying to hug you over there.
Yeah,
But
we need him. We need him.
That
We
must
need
make
him.
you feel good to see your guys not only follow your leadership during the game, but be so supportive after.
Yeah, no, it definitely does, and I really, truly do love these guys, and I've been, around Andrew since he was a teenager, Carl since he's a teenager, and that's strange to say, but I do have a lot of love for these guys, so it's really special to share this with them.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're so proud and happy for you. Of course, your man K-Mac, he's been beaming all night. We've been giving you applause. But
Thanks,
tell
Kev.
the most important people in this whole situation. We saw the interview before the game. It was your wife and your mom. Just make sure you give them a hug from us, because we're happy for them.
I
Because
will.
now they can sleep well as well, because I know they got your back
Yeah.
in this.
Oh yeah. No, they've been unbelievable, and I've had great support through a lot of friends and just people in general. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much, and congratulations
guys.
again on your first win.
Continued
Thanks,
success,
fellas.
Rhino.
Will do. Appreciate you guys.
All right.
Go Gophers.
He didn't have to say go Gophers, forget that. Anyway, Zeke, you remember your first game as a coach?
Yeah, I do. Actually, it was against Yao Ming in the Houston Rockets. I was with the Indiana Pacers.
You win?
Yes, we won.
We won. Yes, we did. And I was happy for Ryan, really happy.
Yeah. Congratulations, Ryan. They're a little bit under my expectation, 19-21. I thought they'd be probably 5-6 games above 500 at this time, but they're going up against the #2 team, and maybe the biggest surprise for me, one of the biggest surprises in the NBA, the OKC Thunder, especially on the defensive end. I think Coach Donovan has done a great job, but we can't ignore the news of Coach Thibodeau being fired in the regular season. Overall, he's 352 and 246, so he has an above-winning record overall in the NBA. But there in the Wolves, he was under that 500 mark. Let's start with you, Kev. When you understand what's going on with the Timberwolves, did you kind of see this move of the firing of Coach Thibodeau coming, or was it a surprise, or how did it get you?
I think it all happened at training camp with the whole thing with Butler. That was the start of it. Butler came out right after the season, which I didn't know he knew about, and said, I want to be gone. Like a week after, Butler doesn't fly back with the team after they lose in the playoffs, which is usually a sign of something bad's happening. Because, everybody rides together that last, and you start talking about next year and getting better. He doesn't even come with them. Tells Tibbs he wants to go. And none of that gets out. I'm not even sure how many people inside the organization knew that. Doesn't show up for training camp. Comes in late in training camp, has a practice where he curses out everybody and kind of just, starts going off. And I think that was it right there. I just think at that time, I know if I'm on the team and a guy does that, if I don't say something, I'm surely hoping the coach says, hey, man, come on. This is practice. These are your teammates. We're stopping this thing, man. This is about us together. And I just thought that was it. Now, it took a little longer. It's boiling up, Chris, when you get dropped after you win a game by 22 points. And they won 2 games in a row. So this was going to happen one way or the other. But I think it happened again, like I said last year with Butler at the end of the playoffs, going all the way up through training camp.
Yeah, so much has been made, and watching TV this week and hearing undertones of journalism, it seems that players have been accused to not say what's on their mind about teammates, and it's in other sports, football mostly. But here, listening to you guys, you've been pretty critical, I think, of good friends, of guys that have been in the same position of you, because it's not personal when we're talking about sports. And both of you guys have been coaches. Both of you, I'm not sure, have been relieved of duties or quit those duties. And, how could he have stopped the bleeding, Zeke? And where do you go from, right now? Right now, you have young Saunders, the coach of the son of Coach Flip Saunders, 32 years old. First of all, I know he's a great basketball mind as much as he's been around the game, but being so young, taking this young team in a new direction, how do you sort through all this if you're in the midst of this storm right now as management for Minnesota Timberwolves?
The first thing, management, as Kevin said, they made a bet on Butler. Tibbs and Butler made a bet together and lost, right? So that relationship got fractured. Once that relationship was fractured, now there's an organizational fracture. And when you have an organizational fracture with management, players, coaches, now somebody's got to bring everybody back together. And normally that's going to be the coach. So, Saunders has a big job ahead of him these next 2 to 3 days, because right now, these next 2 to 3 days, so much stuff could spin out of control, and it can get out of control quickly.
So, Zeke, I hate to
Yeah.
cut you off, but both guys, I mean, first of all, I love the fact that his son has a role, and I know, again, he's
Yeah.
a basketball mind. But with the lack of experience, with the young team, I'm wondering how that plays, and I'll give you a better example. To me, this was the first time maybe Coach Popovich was in a situation where he had to recruit one of his own free agents.
Mm-hmm.
And when you understand maybe people don't look at us like I thought they do on the inside or how they should, maybe you end up losing in that situation. What does he go on right now to say, this is how you hold it together? Is it calling your mentors? Is it talking to the players? If you're him, what do you do with that lack of experience?
He's got to lean on the players. Now it really becomes Towns and Wiggins who really have to steady the ship and bring everybody together because Chris and Kevin, you both know this, right? You know, the product and the performance out on the floor, that's what's going to be judged.
Yeah.
The X's and O's is not going to be judged as much as the product out on the floor in terms of how you play, how you execute, how hard you play, so forth and so on. And that really comes down to the players. So the only people who are really going to get them out of this situation are the 12 guys that got on the uniform.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
and when the 12 guys who got on the uniform, Towns and Cat, they got to lead it.
And, you know, you look at the guys. Ryan Saunders is 32 years old. He looks at those guys and say, look, I'm one of you. I mean, let's do this together.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the biggest thing you got to do, because I've taken over in the middle of the season a couple times, you got to go from trying to put your stuff in. Because like I said, we were talking about the Zeke earlier.
Yeah.
Try to put a whole new offense in yesterday. See how it looks tonight.
Yeah.
You got to take Tibbs' stuff, if you're Ryan Saunders, and say, okay, I like these 3 sets. I don't like these sets. And you guys take Tibbs' stuff and use that tonight and slowly bring your stuff in. But I think also if Ryan is smart and is going to talk to you guys, I'm going to go to the top players if I'm him and saying, okay, what sets do you like? Cat, when you need a hoop, what do you want me to run from you? Wiggs, when you're not rolling, what gets you rolling? And then I tell you what, I'm running that stuff for my top players.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get my top players on board, fighting hard, and then they'll bring everybody with them. But it's tough. I guarantee you Ryan hasn't slept in 2 days since they told him as head coach.
Yeah.
His mind's spinning. The game's getting ready to start. He's got 700 things going through his brain. And I told you, Zeke, just hope it doesn't come down to the last 35 seconds in a tie game. Ryan will be like, oh, man, because, you know, you have so much stuff you have to do. But once you do it and you get comfortable with basketball, like I told you, I wanted to go for 2-for-1s late in the game. So, I mean, if there was 38 seconds to go, tie game, I was saying, guys, we're going to get a shot up in the next 4 or 5 seconds. I mean, we did that in the first quarter. We did that in the second quarter. Did it in the third quarter. We're going to do it in the fourth quarter. Let's get 2 for 1. And so you got to kind of get your style of coaching, put it in there. But I know right now, young guy, I've known him since he's just been a little boy, Ryan.
Yeah.
And, I know he's nervous as all get up right
I'll
now.
tell you what, he's earned this moment. I'm sure his father and his family made him earn this moment. And he has a guy that's very reliable. When you look at Karl Anthony Towns, he's averaging 30 points on 53% field goal in his last 6 games. So I can see that. And one thing you said, Kevin, I like. When you go to a player and you say, Isaiah, what play do you like for you? You're really giving them responsibility. Because you can't look at me and say, well, Coach, I'm not in my zone. I'm not in the place. I'm expecting you now to be successful every single time at this mark. And so it'll be fun to see how he and this group gets through this game.
So players only. I'm gonna throw this out there, even though this is you know, our guy here. We don't want to lose you or anything, but you know, your history with Minnesota, your history with the family, with the organization. You got Sam Mitchell sitting out there.
I asked him this today. Zeke walking in, I asked him the same. Talk to him.
I'm just
Sam
saying
Mitchell
there's a lot of names
Yes.
floating around out there, and you two have experience. Not only do you and Sam have experience, y'all both have been, you know, great executives. Sam was coach of the year. You both know Minnesota. You both know the franchise, everything else. I'm just throwing it out there. I think y'all a good team going back to Minnesota, working with some of those young guys that y'all helped to mentor, so forth and so on.
I just got scared again. They had
KG
KG together, Screen, Cassell.
I mean, he's been
we had to try to beat those guys.
Yeah, so when you talk about experience and making it work and everything else, I mean, he and Sam Mitchell, to me, that's a good look in Minnesota.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Sam would be a great hire for them. I really do. I'm not sure.
You're not running for office.
No.
He's like, I'm not ready to announce.
Hey, Chris, you ain't even in this conversation.
I think he should.
This is just me and you
think about
talking
the times
about.
could work with the big fella. He had blood. You know he's tough. They say they're lacking toughness. Wiggins
But you
on
know
that
he in
wing.
Phoenix now. His
I mean,
blood
you saw
look
them come
thin.
back from 3-1 that time against Houston. I mean, I'm sorry, against the Clippers.
Oh, that was him.
That was his team.
Did
and
he
he the
draft
part guard
Garnett?
that played. Yeah, he drafted Garnett.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah.
also made the area conducive to raise up a young guy like that.
Is he from Minnesota? Is Mikal from
Yeah,
Minnesota?
he played. Did he play at Minnesota? Big Ten guy.
Oh, yeah, he won championships with the Celtics.
Did he? A couple. He said that '86 team was the greatest you'd ever seen.
And he's got experience.
Yeah.
He knows from.
He likes,
wait, we're not in the commercial right now.
He likes the sunshine of Scottsdale.
Oh, there you go. Oh, man. But, yeah, so we do have another team that's going to be playing OKC. We'll talk about them a little bit later, and I think most teams will be really surprised with the way that OKC is playing, especially on the defensive end. That's right. Your steal leaders for this year in the NBA start with Westbrook at number 1, number 2, PG-13. We'll talk about him on the other side. Players only, baby.
And you know that.
Coaches only.
Kel Sam Mitchell. Sound like a good fit to me.
Just bring the sunshine.